What's up, Christians?
You know that's only going to be funny to the people who watch on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I know.
All the Spotify, Apple people are going to have no idea what just happened.
Let me give you guys a little backstory. I just flipped the camera off. I just saw what your name is, by the way. Poseidon's Girl. Poseidon's Girl XOXO. What was it? What did we... 143?
What?
Do you not remember that, like, back in the day with, like, MySpace and, like, Facebook and shit? Instead of a heart, we would do 143? Oh. Somebody out there who's listening remembers. I know.
What does 143 have to do with a heart?
I never figured that out.
I'm like, I remember the, like...
Yeah,
greater
like
than?
Yeah, it's
and a 3.
No, it's the less than and
whatever.
3.
Same difference. I remember that.
Yeah, I don't know what the 143 was about.
What does 143 have to do with anything?
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I have no fucking idea.
Wait, hold on. Can you do the chat thing on here?
The chat thing?
How do you type on this?
Hell if I
Everyone.
know.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, there's a chat. I totally forgot about that.
That has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, I see.
How does that make it
Yeah,
hard?
I don't know.
Okay, anyways. So...
Wait. Something just came to me. Maybe it means... Because I remember hearing 143, I love you. So, remember we used to say I-L-Y? And I was like 4. And then L was... Or, sorry, nope, never mind. That's not right.
Madeline. 1. I is 1 letter. 4. Love is 4 letters. 3.
Oh.
U is 3 letters.
Okay, that's way too complicated.
I just figured that out while you were trying to do the ILY thing. I was like, oh, wait.
Do you remember back in the day?
Just now. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, I echoed just now.
No, I didn't hear it. See, that's the crazy part. See, our mics, if we get extra loud and excited, I think it's just inevitable that we're going to echo a little bit. What do I know? I'm not a scientist. I could be a scientist if I wanted to. What do you think? Think I could?
Okay, back to the Poseidon's Girl thing.
Okay.
Nobody can ever see them, which is very unfortunate, but every time we record, I change my name to be something related to the topic that we're discussing.
Poseidon's Girl is crazy.
What did I do last week? I did Moses something.
Moses
is the best or something like that, yeah.
Yeah. This time is Poseidon. Okay, name your favorite Greek god. Go.
I don't really pay attention to Greek mythology that much, but I would probably just automatically choose Poseidon, being that I'm a Pisces and the water is where I belong, so.
Funny. I am going to keep it 100 with you. I really like...
Hades?
Medusa.
Just kidding.
Medusa or Athena?
Have you, what is that called? It's the app. They have comics on the app. What is that app called? Anyways, Mount Olympus is the comic book. What is that freaking app called? Have you read that?
No.
You probably should.
Mm-mm.
You would love it. You guys Webtoons, that's what it's called.
I'll keep it 100 with you. Like,
Webtoons.
You know how some people, like back in middle school, they were obsessed with the, what was it? Lightning Thief was one. What was the other
What's Lightning
series? Thief? Don't ask me. I just remember hearing
about it. Are you talking about Percy Jackson?
Oh, Percy Jackson. That's what I'm talking about.
Tade
Isn't that one of the books?
I don't know. Tade was obsessed with Percy Jackson, though, so.
I thought Lightning Thief was a series. I'm just dumb. But yeah,
it could
Percy
be.
Jackson.
I don't fucking know.
But like, here's the thing, is that people used to be like either obsessed with Percy Jackson, or they were obsessed with Twilight, or they were obsessed with Hunger Games. Like, it just
you left one
kept
out.
going on. What?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Oh my! How could I forget?
It's because everybody is a fucking nerd about something. That's why.
It's true, and that's why, like, when people used to hop on my nutsack about freaking Justin Bieber, it would make me so mad because I'm like, okay, and you're over here fangirling. First of all, you're a dude. You're over here fangirling over Percy Jackson. Like, let's talk about that one.
Yeah, it's because everybody's a nerd about something. It doesn't matter what it is.
People were so stupid.
Nerd out about everything or nothing.
Yeah, me too. Like, okay, first of all, I nerd out about everything. I think.
Not everything.
Harry Potter.
Oh, you mean every nerdy thing? Okay.
Yeah, like Harry Potter was. I didn't get into Harry Potter until my adulthood. Fun fact.
I don't like Harry Potter.
It's a whole thing.
That's one I never got into.
I think my uncle, when I was a kid, tried to push it on us so much that I just instantly wanted to not like it. So, yeah, that's why I didn't get into it until my adulthood. But y'all already know. Twilight. What was the other one besides Hunger Games? Why do I feel like there was something else that... I mean, like... Hannah Montana.
Who didn't like Hannah Montana, though?
Dude, I wanted to be... Oh, High School Musical. I wanted to be...
Camp Rock.
What... Yeah, which character from High School Musical did you want to be?
Gabriella, duh.
Lame. I always wanted to be Sharpay.
This doesn't surprise me at all. In the slightest.
Like, you know how you have, like, friends from childhood? And that you're like, no, I want to be Sharpay. No, I want to be Sharpay. No, I want to be Gabriella. No, I want to be Gabriella. And it would always be, like, a whole fight. And then the moms would have to intervene. And they would be like, okay, let me decide for you. Did you ever have that?
No.
No? Okay, cool. Original experience, I guess.
Oh, that's it? That's. I thought you were going to add to it.
I mean, do you want me to add to it?
No, I guess not. You were just like, you were like saying it like you were going to tell this whole story and then it just ended. And I was like, oh.
I mean, I have a lot of stories from my childhood with that particular friend that you just wouldn't even believe it. She's the one that our parents used to watch WWE together. And it was a whole experience. I remember her having a John Cena action figure.
That's so funny.
She would make out with it all the time.
Oh, it's no longer
like,
funny.
Yo, what's going on here? It's no longer funny. That shit's fucking hilarious because what are you doing? Also, I don't talk to her anymore, obviously. And there's beef with that, so...
Plot twist, she listens to this podcast and messages you out of nowhere.
I'd be like, I thought you were blocked.
Be random
like,
as fuck. Where'd you come from?
Why'd you have to talk about my John Cena makeout sessions?
John Cena! Do you remember when we were watching WWE in Tennessee? And John Cena came on and we were like...
John Cena? I was like,
what the
remember?
Fuck? And then
I looked at you and I was like, he still does this? Like, what the fuck?
Do you remember though we couldn't, because we were in the lobby for more context, and we couldn't hear anything, but we were like, if you listen really carefully, you can hear this music. And in the background, it was just like, no.
All the way over here.
Yeah, super quiet. And it just kept repeating. It was like,
yeah, it just... It's like, okay, I've had enough.
You're gonna play that? My gosh.
I feel like we need to give context to my intro.
Why? I think you started and somehow it just delved into something else.
I have no idea. We're 9 minutes into this and I can honestly tell you I have no idea what I've even said.
You literally, you started talking like you were gonna tell the story about your intro. And then I don't know how it fell off the tracks, but it did at some point. I don't remember how we got here, to be honest with you. Anyways, I found a comedian on TikTok. I told Madeline to watch it. She was like, I'll watch it, and then never does, because that's what Mads does. Clearly gets squirreled over here now. And so I had to remind her like 3 times. And then she finally listened to it. And now she keeps sending me videos. Like, this is so fucking funny. I'm like, bro, I know. I've already seen it. Like, anyways, that's what she does. Her name's Amber Autry. Look her up. She's funny as fuck. She'll come out and she'll be like twerking, and then she'll get on the mic. She's like, "What up, Christians?" So
it makes me lose it every time, because she's like hardcore twerking. Like, she can throw it back, homie, and then she just gets up to the mic and she's like heavy breathing. She's like, "What's up, Christians?"
My favorite one is the one where she's like, "Talk amongst yourselves. I'm out of breath."
And she literally,
like, same girl, same.
I think that's the one where she said, do you guys remember, okay, first of all, in your 30s, like, you know how, like, you just can't do the same things anymore? And, like, when you were in your 20s, like, old people would come out of a bush and be like, you ain't gonna be able to do that for much longer.
Yeah, it's that one.
That shit was so funny. Oh
so
my
it's
God.
The Netflix is a joke special that she had. Like, it's like a 10-minute thing. The other thing is, I've been on comedian TikTok recently, so Marcus is kind of weeding his way out now, but Morgan J, I don't know who the frick he is, but I stumbled upon him one night, and he's like, I don't know if he's a comedian or a singer or what the thing is, but his like whole shtick is he goes out into the audience, talks to people on auto-tune.
Oh, yeah. What you sent me.
I sent you a few of them, yeah, because I'm like, what the fuck? Because some of the stories are funny, but it's like, I don't know why, but the way he talks to people like gets stuck in my head, so then I do that in my head like all day.
That's so funny.
It's not actually, it's like I'm trapped here, but
I feel like your head, like in your head, you hear auto-tune when you think.
No, not always, but when I do it stuff in the way that Morgan J talks to people with the auto-tune on, that's what happens.
Yeah. What is my recent fascination is actually emus.
Emus are funny as fuck, though.
I told my mom, okay, so my family, we live out in the country, for those of you who don't know, and we have plenty of land to have a farm, and they think if one day we might have one, like a full one, and emus are actually good for defending against some things, and because they kick and shit. And
how?
The way that, oh no, they do. What's funny, I don't understand.
With both legs or one? That's the question.
Both. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
It's like a kangaroo. They just boink, and then like
they don't have arms. That's the crazy part. Like,
that's what
they
I
look
that's
like
why
they
I was
should.
like, how?
Like, they look like they should have arms, but they don't. And they
Brother, if they had arms, they would look like T-Rexes. Full disclosure.
They would. They would. But you know what? The way that they like run, they have to run. They're always like acting like they have somewhere to be. And their body moves before their head, so they're like,
have you seen emu zoomies though?
Yeah, it's crazy,
so
man.
Funny when they get the zoomies. It's hilarious.
I told my mom about that, like my whole family, and they're like, no, it's not a no. I'm like, okay, well, keep that in the back of your mind for 10 years from now. I told them, so like Lynn's aunt or whatever has alpacas that he goes and feeds like every day, and I'm kind of scared of them, not gonna lie. Have you ever been around an alpaca?
Probably.
They're kind of scary. Like,
I probably have at some point.
They're kind of mean, honestly. They look cute, but they're really mean. So that's the story. Like, why pet friend shaped if not friend, you know? Makes me sad. It's depressing. So we're not going to have alpacas on our farm, but we are going to have chickens more than likely. Have you ever been chased by a chicken?
No, but interestingly enough, it was like Tuesday or something this week, and I looked out my front window, and there was just a random dog eating a random chicken in my neighbor's yard, like in our front yard. Like, our front yards are like combined. Like, there's like no, it's just all one. And right in front of their porch, it's not even a porch, it's like a slab of concrete, one step down. Right in front of that, there was just a dog eating a chicken, and I don't know whose fucking dog it was, and I don't know whose fucking chicken it was, and I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why I needed a front row seat to that. But it was kind of awkward and disturbing, and I was like, do I do anything with this information, or...
No, you just leave.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, so
it's
like
gross,
my
though.
neighbors at the end of my street going that way, they have a full-blown farm on both sides, but on a little tiny piece of land. So this one couple, they have 3 horses, a bunch of goats, chickens. They added something here recently where I'm like, what are you doing? And like, they'll get out in the road sometimes, and I'm like, what is going on? This makes our road look so trashy. And then on the left side of the road, there is 2 freaking sheep, a bunch of chickens, and I'm like, hey, yo, this is crazy. Why is this happening right now? So there's like chickens and like goats and shit running around, and the horses got out one time, and you hear them like neigh. They're like, ee! And I'm like, what the fuck? What was that?
Just
Next
horses.
thing you know, just horses walking down. I'm like, cool.
That's funny.
That's fun. That could be bad. You know, like someone could hit it, which would be devastating, and I would cry for 5 days. But my mom's dog is looking at me like, cry for 5 days? What the hell?
That's funny.
Ain't you done that enough this week?
She's just like, what's happening?
Yeah. How many times do you cry in a month?
Me?
I would say 30. I would say 30 days out of a month. What about you?
Not near as much as that.
I don't think you're a crier.
I cry when I'm pissed.
Yeah, me too. That's the problem, I think.
When I'm mad, I cry. And I cry at emotional movies.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on how many emotional movies I'm watching in a month, I guess.
Yeah.
This month specifically, probably 3 times.
Wow, that's far less than I would have thought. Not realistically, I think I cried about 15 times. So I'd say about half that.
That's how many migraines I have in a month.
Yeah, sounds
Actually,
about
16.
Right. That's kind of depressing. On that note, I did want to tell the chat real quick that the chat. I did want to tell the peeps real quick that I tried the Wendy's Takis meal today. I have the red fingies to prove it.
Sick, brother.
It was actually pretty good. Not gonna lie.
Nice.
I would eat it again. It might be a while from now though. But it was good.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's good for you because you spent money on it, and so that would suck if it wasn't good.
Yeah, I would cry.
Waste.
It'd be
waste.
my 16th time crying in a month is fine.
Damn, brother.
Yeah.
For those listening who don't know, I have food allergies. Can't have that shit. That's why I'm just like, cool, whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Irrelevant.
red 40 and spicy and bad stuff, so
Neither of those things are a problem for me.
thank God. It's so funny how
It's everything else.
It's so funny how like in mainstream media people are like red 40 sucks. And then like you're like
but
oh shit. Well, anyway, you're at least not allergic to that poison.
newsflash. Most of the food products in America are poisonous.
They are. Mm-hmm.
My interesting factoid of the week for you people is, so I got Botox for my migraines. What is on my finger? Do you see this?
I think it's my Takis residue.
Because that's not a freckle. I don't know what the fuck it is. Anyways.
Ink.
From my pen. From my notes. Because it's purple.
Ah, yeah.
So I got Botox for my migraines. And I don't know, first of all, 31 injections. Eyebrows. Head.
31?
31 at one time, yes.
I thought it would just be like 2.
Mm-mm.
What the
here,
actual frickin' nutsacks?
3 on each side, cluster in each temple, couple, like 2 inches up in your hairline, all the way down the back of your neck, across the top of your shoulders. 31.
Oh my gosh.
The one odd number is the one right between your eyebrows, right here. Anyways, for people who don't know this information, I'm gonna share it because I wish somebody would have told me, and I don't know why this bothered me so bad, but I was like, ugh. So, don't know if you've ever had an injection in your muscle, in an area where you can hear it, but
no, I don't think so, honestly, truthfully.
Okay, well, it sounds like this.
That's creepy.
Yeah, it is very disturbing. So yeah, 31 times. That's what it sounds like.
Ew.
And it's louder on the side of your head, like in your temple area.
Sorry, I got scared.
The sound is enhanced over here.
Ew. I don't like that.
It's disturbing. I was like, I wish somebody would have warned me that your muscles crunch when you get injections.
It
like,
does make sense, but like, it makes sense after the fact. If somebody had told you like before, you would have been like, "What the? Okay, whatever." But now that you've experienced it,
no, I would have been more prepared for that had somebody warned me.
Do you think you would have been scared?
No, I was already scared. I don't like needles.
Oh, really? I mean, I don't know of anybody who likes them, to be honest.
There's people who have no problems like donating blood and stuff.
I don't have a problem with needles.
I don't like them at all. I've actually turned like visibly green from getting my blood drawn before.
Oh, I hate that.
So imagine one coming right here at your face.
Yeah.
But he was like, you didn't even flinch once. And I was like, that's fucking surprising because fuck, dude.
You just gotta, I mean, like, yeah, it's a little bit different. I was about to say the dentist, but like the dentist ones, like you can't even really see them. Mm-mm. And it's honestly better that you can't, because if you did, you'd probably freak out about it.
Those ones are like this long.
Oh my God. When I had my root canal last year, they injected me, I believe, like 20 times, no joke, to keep my mouth numb. And I was numb for like a long time.
Were you numb for all those needle shots though? Because like they always put the topical on, but it never actually fucking works.
It works for me because they put it, but you feel it. You feel the medicine like in this area, like wherever they're injecting it.
No, bro.
But like,
lucky dog, because I feel the whole last pinch. I'm like, oh.
I mean, it still hurts. It's not a pleasant feeling, you know. But after the first one and the second, maybe even the third, you can't feel it anymore. When you have like 10 of them. But yeah, I can't imagine the crunching. I think I would have.
Oh, it's gross. I mean,
I think I'm going to be completely honest with you. After having a root canal, I could probably do anything like that. Because I was in the chair for an hour and a half and like I felt him like you could hear, not only like smell the tooth being drilled, but you could like feel him like pulling. Like he pulled me up out of my seat, and I was like, you know what? I could do anything after this.
Yeah,
I could handle anything that it comes to my face.
He did at least warn me when he was going for the temple, because he did the forehead area first. Mm-hmm. So when he's going for the temple next, he was like, these ones are loud, just so you know. And I'm like, bro, the fucking forehead ones were loud. It was like
It's right crazy.
What is happening?
Crazy to think about. And what's funny is that so many people have done Botox, but nobody mentions it. Like, what the frick?
I was like, nobody's going to tell you that by the way, your muscles make this crunchy sound. Like, that's the best way to describe it. I don't know how else to describe it. It's crunchy. It's like.
Yeah. Ew.
I was like, no thank you. Please stop.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not pleasant, but it's like, wish I had known that before.
Yeah, it was. That was actually the worst part, like during, and then it was like afterwards it burns quite a bit for a hot minute, but during wasn't that bad.
Which is good.
Other than the crunchies, I was like, it's one of those things, though. There's certain noises that just get me. I'm like, I can't.
Mm-hmm. It's the tisms.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Unfortunately.
Like, no, stop. Stop it.
Literally. Yeah, word.
We gotta get this show on the road.
That's what I was thinking too. That's why I was like, I'm not going to say anything else, because if I do, I won't shut the fuck up.
Okay, homies. So today we're talking about something that's probably more of a conspiracy theory than anything else, really. Everything else we've talked about has had some tangible piece of truth to it. Mm-hmm. So this one is slightly different. But we figured it might be interesting to talk about Atlantis, the Lost City.
The Lost City.
Full disclosure before we get into this, I didn't have a lot of time to do research, and the research I gathered is quite interesting. And it's a bit far-fetched. So just keep that in mind. We're keeping an open mind on this topic because, again, it's more conspiracy theory than probably anything else. So
yeah. I will. One thing I did want to say
my other notes out.
Is I always thought that Atlantis was always believed archaeologically, scientifically, and historically to have been in the Caribbean. And doing my research, I figured out that that is not the case. And
it could be. It could be the case.
It is one teeny small little piece of what could potentially be Atlantis. There are so many places that people think Atlantis actually is, and I don't even think if it were somewhere, personally, my opinion, before we even get into all this, I don't even think that it was in the Caribbean. It doesn't make any logical sense for it to be, but we'll get there.
If I had to guess it was somewhere, my guess would be the Bermuda Triangle.
That would be near the Caribbean, though.
Yeah, but like you said, we'll get there.
We'll get there. So, who wants to start? Because there's really not much historically. Because, like what you said, in the past, like our previous episodes, there has been proof of these things existing, right? The Ark of the Covenant, there's proof of it, like, being directed to be made, to where it's assumed it was a thing of physical existence. I believe that it was and is something that exists. But everything else that we've talked about is true historical fact. This is something that is absolutely not a historical fact, so it's interesting.
Well, so here, I'll say this. I'll say a couple things. So first thing is, in what I discovered, it's very weird how this ties into everything else we've discussed in this season so far. I found that very interesting. So at the very least, this has ties to pretty much all the topics we've discussed. Not particularly the Ark of the Covenant, but there's a little piece of information I found out that could sort of keep them in ties together. Anyways, we'll get there. The basic, very minimal factual research is that the myth comes from Plato, right? Around 360 BC. That's pretty much the one thing that I found to be consistent through everything that I looked at. And he mentions it in two of his dialogues, and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce them correctly, but it's Critias and Timaeus, maybe, is how you say those. But he described it as a vast island which, before sinking around 10,000 BC, was located in the Atlantic Ocean beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which are generally thought to be the Strait of Gibraltar, I think.
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Yeah. Words are words, man. I don't know how to pronounce them properly. But, so that's pretty much, in all of the minimal research that I got to do on Atlantis, that was like the one thing that was consistent through everything that I looked at.
Well, I do want to say this too, so keep in mind, listeners, did you hear what she said? In around 360, 50 something BC is when Plato wrote this, okay? And he said that Atlantis existed in 10,000-ish BC. So this is 9,000 years after this place supposedly existed. And that's what blows my mind. That his works are referenced so much for something that existed far before his time. So just keep that in mind as we go forward, because I feel like that's very important as to why everything seems so sporadic in all of the archaeological scientifics of it all. Okay? Because it's weird. He's referenced consistently.
So in a nutshell, so the thing that I watched, in case anybody is curious to go figure it out for themselves, is titled "The Mystery of Atlantis: The Truth of the Lost City." There's some more stuff in that title, but it's Secret Origins on YouTube. And in a nutshell, Plato basically talked to, like, secret school students and, like, secrecy. What did they call it? Hold on a second. So it was, he received some knowledge from initiates who were members of secret brotherhoods guarding ancient mysteries, and, like, mystery schools kept wisdom from uninitiated as it helped to ensure the safety of knowledge during danger. So this is the one part that I found kind of interesting, okay? So that's why Plato refrained from writing about Atlantis until his end days, and he wrote about it because he wanted to ensure the lost civilization's history was preserved. But for his accounts, he also had access to records in the Library of Alexandria.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
So it was like, how weird, because this was the first part that came into everything else we've talked about. And I was like, that's really fucking weird.
It does make sense as to why his account could be more credible. It's just that it's still 9,000 years after, and that's what I can't get over, because, like, we can look, and I'm not being a hater, okay? But I'm just saying, like, we look 9,000 years ago, which would bring us to, let's see, 7,000 BC, right? That is a crazy amount of time that no matter what history we look at, what we know, it just seems so... Nothing I could say could be reliable, you know what I'm saying, to that time, in my personal opinion. I can report on that time as a fellow historian. I can report on that time and say, well, they did do this, they did do that. We're very fortunate now in present day that we have access to certain things and, like, certain types of technologies in order to have a more accurate overall picture of what things were like. But Plato did not. He just had what was in the Library of Alexandria, which we coincidentally don't know.
Well, here's another thing that was interesting.
In it?
Here's another thing that was interesting from this specific piece of research that I gathered. It is theorized that the Atlanteans are the ones who created the Library of Alexandria. So
interesting.
On what you were saying, though, we have mentioned before, the interesting thing about all the facts that we have is they've come from somebody's perception. No matter how much they try to keep it as matter of fact as possible, it's still how they perceive that information.
Yeah, exactly. It is reported too that Atlantis was the first advanced civilization. Like, they had similar types of technology to a more modern ancient Greece and Rome, where they had, like, those advanced irrigation systems that we talked about. And they also had advanced filtration systems. All of that is believed to have been in Atlantis, which I thought was interesting because I've never really thought much about Atlantis, but they also believe that Atlantis was a circular, kind of like a centric city. So like they had the main portion where like the governments were, and then everything else was like businesses and houses all on the outside. Super crazy.
3 circular rings, each separated by moats.
Yeah. Which is so fascinating.
In the center was the palace and the temple.
So weird. It's funny because, like, that seems like such an alien, like, no joke, alien technology. You know what I'm saying?
I'll get there, Mads. Don't you fucking worry, bro. The shit that I found out about the theories of Atlantis are insane.
I believe it because the irrigation systems, the water, the moats.
Bro, it's more than that. It's like, more than that. They had, like, flying vehicles, kind of, that could also move in water.
I did hear something like that.
Yeah.
Crazy, honestly.
Yeah. So talking about the geography of it all, though. So part somewhere in this documentary type thing that I watched, I can't find it per se, but you have to think about the Earth geographically was shaped so different back then than it is now. Mm-hmm. Do you remember Pangea, for example? Mm-hmm. Even further than that, like, how did it look? That was one of the questions, right? So they think that, let me see if I can find it in my actual written notes. Hold on. They think basically all the land masses were, like, glommed together, right? Mm-hmm. And so basically Atlantis was in the center of, like, North America, Europe, and Africa, and they were all connected by land bridges. Yeah.
That is a crazy concept to think about that I can't even, like...
Yeah, because they actually called it... Go ahead, say your thought while I'm looking for this.
So, my thing is, and this is me going off of absolutely nothing, right?
Is it before that or after this? Go ahead.
If that were the case, Atlanta would have had... Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Atlanta, Georgia. No.
Would have had to be so big. Like, incomprehensibly big. Because... I obviously didn't see the documentary you did, and I don't know the specifics as to why they came to that conclusion. But, like, as a person who is very much into history, I know that on the surface level, that's just not, like, a possible thing, because it took millions of years for that to spread apart to where it's at now. It couldn't have been that much closer or that much further. Like, I don't understand that. That's a little bit weird.
Well, they were talking too, so hold on. So there was actually, like, 3 different periods of Atlantis. So Atlantis has great territorial expansion from 23 to 5.3 million years ago. Yeah. That
would be more realistic, though.
And then it says, it's theorized that Atlantis was a volcanic continent located in the mid-Atlantic rich region, primarily connected to Europe, Africa, and North America by temporary land bridges. And then, so when formed, it was an almost continuous land mass stretching from northern Appalachian continents, which would be North America, to the southern tip of Africa. So they're saying there was one part where it said that Atlantis was at least the size of Western Europe. Mm-hmm. And then there was another part that said it was at least the size of Western Europe, including Asia. So, like, fairly large.
That is crazy. Mm-hmm. But what's even crazier is something of that size, possibly in theory, could be lost entirely.
Well, they were saying, too, so that it was actually 2 different islands. Mm-hmm. So there was a northern island and a southern island. And I'm not even gonna, like, I don't know. The northern one was called Ruda or Poseidonus. And then the southern one was called Daudia. And so they were lost at different times for various reasons.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Burgundy texted me, guys, and she said, I don't know what side of Atlantis documentary shit I'm on, but something's wild. And now I understand what you mean, because we haven't even got to the wild part yet. No. And that's already
Weird.
wild as fuck to me.
You just wait, brother, because this is about to get fucking weird, okay?
Well,
but I
okay.
have to tell everybody. I have to tell you guys because I can't be the only person who has this information.
Yeah, you have to. But not just that, but like there is something that I wanted to say that is also kind of like paranormally motivated in this aspect, okay? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you saw this in your research or not, but in the 20th century, there was this guy named Edgar Cayce who was said to predict the future, okay? And he had to be in a trance-like state in order to do this. And he predicted that Atlantis would be discovered in 1968 and 1969.
Yep.
Okay, you guys are probably like, all right, well, it's way past 1968, 1969.
Y'all just wait, because I know exactly what Madeline's going to tell you.
So here's what's crazy, all right? In 1969, a road that is now known as the Bimini Road in Bimini, Bahamas, okay, was found at the bottom of the ocean literally near the Bimini Islands. It's like right off the coast. Mm-hmm. What's interesting, though, about this is that this road is shaped in a inverted J, all right? And ancient harbors, coincidentally enough, as far back as the 13th century BC, would build breakwaters that were in the shape of an inverted J, which, as I said, the Bimini Road is coincidentally shaped like. So many geologists, which this is kind of crazy to think, but many geologists believe that the stones are not man-made, they are natural, and they just so happen to form a inverted J on their own. And this is because, like, you can find evidence of this in nature. Like, there are perfectly shaped things in nature, such as, like, crystals, salt formations, stuff like that. Like, salt formations can get pretty particular, you know what I'm saying? So, in the documentary that I watched, they actually went out to the Bimini Islands and they dived to try to find any sort of evidence that they could carbon date. And they ended up finding a stone with a hole bored in the middle of it. And the Phoenicians actually used simple stone anchors that looked exactly like that. So they pulled that out, had the stone carbon dated, and it was found that the carbon age was around 1500 to 1600 BC, which is a couple thousand years off of Atlantis. But on top of that too, another site off the coast of Bimini is called the Rectangles. Like, they just call it the Rectangles because they are literally evenly spaced formations that were found on sonar, and they're like 90 feet below the surface, and it's right, the way that it's situated is like right above where the 10,000 BC shoreline would be that Plato reported in his works. And the rectangular structures, when they went down to dive and look at them, they found that they were perfectly straight with a perfect right angle, which in their like research and like all of the geology that they've participated in, they stated that that makes it more than likely that the structure, at least the rectangles, were man-made. So kind of getting into more of the paranormal side of it is that it is widely believed in the disappearance of Atlantis, as far as the Caribbean goes, that a lot of it could be linked to the Bermuda Triangle, which is really interesting because we all know what the Bermuda Triangle is and the history of it. But if you don't, I'll just give you like a brief little thing here. Unexplained things happen in the Bermuda Triangle. Planes fly over it, never to be seen again. Boats sail into it, never to be seen again. It is the weirdest possible thing to occur in the region of which it's located, which is out here in the Atlantic Ocean. So weird, so odd, so strange. So it's not absolutely impossible, considering what we've experienced in modern time with all these disappearances, that it could be linked to whatever happened to the disappearance of Atlantis, if it did exist.
We will talk another side of that here in a little bit. So, because I'll tell you, did you find out the other information that Casey shared?
I don't know if I did, because that was the most important one that I had found for that piece of information. So I don't think so.
Perfect. Okay. So before Casey, did you have anything else you want to say? Because my stuff might end up kind of like driving
not about the Caribbean.
Okay.
Because the Caribbean is only one portion, like I was saying, of where they believe the Atlantis is even located. There's so many different locations. So as far as the Caribbean goes, that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, because some people think it's like in the Mediterranean Sea. Like there's a whole bunch of different theories. So to get on to the topic of what did the Atlanteans look like, a bunch of people are like trying to figure that out, right? Well, there's a lot of different theories, and a lot of them have to do with Atlanteans were partially alien, if not fully alien. Did you hear that?
No.
Annie's outside the door and she went, this scared me because I was like, what the fuck? Okay.
Sitting here talking about aliens and she's over here making weird shit.
What is happening? Okay. So where does this even start in these notes that I took? Because these are fucking insane.
It's a wild ride. Like,
oh yeah. So one of the theories is, let's see if I can find it on this. There was this guy. Hold on a second. We don't care about Plato anymore. We've moved past him. Here we go.
What's up, Christians?
Okay, yeah, so basically this was like were aliens involved in the origin of Atlantis. So, in an esoteric hypothesis about the origin of Atlantis comes from Ishmael Perez. He wrote this book. The name of the book is Our Cosmic Origins. And basically he tells that Atlantis was created by humanoid beings from the, I think, Pleiades in the 5th dimension. So...
5th dimension?
Yeah, that's what it says. I didn't do that much research. So, but basically they managed to integrate and maintain balance between spiritual and material worlds, and that's how they had the highly intellectual technology that they did. So, let's see. Remember last week when I said I'm not going to scribble anymore? Should have listened to myself because I don't know what the fuck that word is. Okay. So according to esoteric teachings and theosophy, humanity develops through 7 great evolutionary cycles, and they're called root races. So the root races, each root race has a physical and mental qualities that the ones before them never had, right? So there's a theory that the Atlanteans were the 4th root race. So, and they were the first that were truly human and terrestrial. And this came from Ishmael. And there's also this lady, she was a Russian mystic and occultist, and her name was Helena Blavatsky, I think. But they both talked on this topic. Let's see, what else is important to share with the class? Some of this you're just gonna have to go look up yourselves because it's super crazy.
Yeah,
if we dive into it, we're gonna just fall off the wagon here. But
the chaos. Oh, thank you, Duchess. The chaos of what, like, these historians and like amateur archaeologists and stuff like that, they really are taking this to a whole new level with, I mean, they're having a ball with Atlantis. I'm telling you right now, all the research I've done, it is the craziest stuff you'll ever.
Yeah, this stuff is wild. So they're saying that there was 3 different periods of Atlanteans, and so each civilization or each period of Atlantis like had some sort of catastrophic event happen that ruined it, and eventually it disappeared, right?
Well, that would suck 3 times over.
Yeah, 3 different variations, but let's see. And they also theorized too that during all of this time, at some point, some of them spread out from their island homeland to other parts of the world, to and including Colorado, by the way. It was specifically mentioned Colorado. It was like
that explains a lot.
Let me see if I can find it really fast. Yeah, so basically, like people were talking about what do they look like, and like there was several people who said that Atlanteans were actually giants. Some people even think that that's where like the original like myth of the Cyclops came from, because they had a third eye at one point that eventually when they started to, in a sense, mate with humans and become hybrids, then that split out into 2 eyes. So
biblically, that's not true. Not the Cyclops thing necessarily, but the angels did come down and mate with humans and create giants. So,
well, funny that you say biblically, because it specifically mentioned that originally there was like 5 races. Let's see, I think I took a picture of it because it put some text up and I was like, I'm not writing all of that down. Hold on.
I do that with my homework at school all the time.
There's too much going on here.
Like, I have so many pictures of just homework shit. It's just so funny. Oh, gosh. At the end of the semester, I do a mass clean.
Yeah, this came from Edgar Casey, by the way.
Okay.
So, people appeared on Earth in 5 places at the same time. The yellow race in the Gobi, the white in the Carpathians, the red in the Atlantic and American lands, and the brown in the Andes, and the black in Africa. So, the red were, like, theorized to be Atlanteans, and they started to sleep with the sons of God, and so, that were mentioned in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just find that very interesting. It all ties back in.
So, if that's the case, so weird that you bring that up, because, you know, I've mentioned the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the reason why the story of Sodom and Gomorrah is so fascinating to me is because it's so weird, because, like, you know, like, you have these depictions of, like, the angels, they are the sons of God, like,
oh wait, sorry,
depicted in that way.
Before you continue, I messed it up. So these 5 races were maybe the sons of God, and then they slept with the daughters of men. So that's how the hybrids came about.
Well, see, but the thing is that, like, in the Bible, the angels are considered, like, maybe not necessarily sons of God, but they are very highly in God's favor, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just very interesting that you bring that up, because what if Atlantis, like, it's only been coined the name Atlantis because of Plato. What if it was actually Sodom and Gomorrah?
It could
like
be.
And because it was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
It was destroyed by fire. So, and coincidentally enough, like, I was talking about, like, how, like, salt deposits occur and stuff like that, and, like, salt deposits have been, like, referenced a lot in the research of this. I don't know exactly why, but, like, Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt too. So, like, it's just really weird, because that was also the region, or close to the region, of where Plato had said. So I don't know, seems a little crazy, man.
I'm telling you, it's weird.
It's all one big circle.
That's what I'm saying, is like, the more that I got into this, I was like, the more it all comes together, and I was like, because you just wait, homie, I got more still. So but basically these hybrids ended up splitting into, like, 2 different groups. So there was one group called the Children of the Law of One, and they wanted to keep the human race pure, and then they wanted to help the hybrids regain their position as God's creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other group was the sons of Belial, and they believed only in sensual gratification and treated the hybrids as slaves. So here comes the three fallings, if you will, of Atlantis, right? So the first one was because the advanced technology, they started to use it for destructive purposes, ruin their civilization. The second one was the fighting between the two factions. And then the third was at a time when Egypt reached high level of civilization and the pyramids and the Sphinx were built. So it didn't really specify why they fell. But I think it was Casey who ended up tying in that piece of everything together too. So he actually said, let me grab these notes now. I got notes all over the fucking place here. Let's see. Okay, that's the part about it being the size of Asia. Let's see, where is it? He ends up talking about, okay. Where is it? Before the legendary land disappeared under the waves, Casey revealed that there was an exodus of many Atlanteans to ancient Egypt. He attributed the biblical Great Flood of Noah to be a result of the sinking of the last huge remnants of Atlantis. He also revealed that the many Atlanteans that managed to escape in hope to preserve a record of their civilization created 2 separate archives with all their history and accomplishments so that it could be preserved for posterity. One of these archives was revealed to be buried under one of the Sphinx's paws. So, recent geological research has been done in the area using new technology, and during one Discovery Channel special, researchers confirmed that it is possible to see that there is a room under the left paw of the Sphinx.
Yo.
The Egyptian Directorate of Antiques does not allow excavation in the area for any reason. So before you say anything really fast, this is edgarcaseynyc.org.
So, here's what's crazy about that. Remember how I've said, I think it was last week, where I made a point to say it's very interesting that when you get to something and these historians are like, I bet it's in this location, and then they go to try to get that approved by the local government, and they're like, not happening. Mm-hmm. See how that just happened again? Yeah. It's because I feel like people are actually onto something and they're figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. So just so everybody knows, Edgar Casey was a clairvoyant from the Americas. So basically he just did some readings, and that's how he gathered all of this information. So there was a part, I can't find it specifically, but he actually ends up talking about they used crystals and stuff in their buildings and all of that good stuff to, how did they word it? Hold on. I wrote it down somewhere. They used crystals as transducers. So there's a theory that Atlantis is underneath the Bermuda Triangle because the crystals and all their energy and everything that they were capable of is what causes all of the weird mysteries in the Bermuda Triangle.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I am rushing everything, but we're almost out of time. So y'all are just gonna have to go watch this fucking documentary because shit was fucking nuts. I was the whole time. But
was that the craziest thing? Did you get to what you really wanted to say?
I rushed it, but so Edgar Casey also concludes he comes out saying that they're also aliens of some sort. Let me see if I can find it in here. Okay, so basically, let's see. Where does it start? Edgar Casey described the attendants of the early years of Atlantis as thinking people of intuitive influence who had access to the future and the past. How did they achieve this? This is a transcription of it, so some of the words are fucked up, but They developed the right side of their children's brains. But basically they are of alien descent too, and that's why they were so, again, technologically advanced. And basically, in this documentary, just so you know, this was kind of funny to me, they kept using clips from Avatar. Like the
That's
movies.
so funny.
The Avatar. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, are Atlanteans aliens, basically?
It makes you wonder.
Bunch of people think they are of alien descent, one reason or another, and they are possibly partially responsible for the building of the pyramids at this point. They're of the same descent.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and they had that kind of technology. I was just like, bro, this is like, it ties into everything we've talked about so far. I'm just kind of spazzing over here with all of this information, to be honest. My brain's all over the place with it, so I'm like, what the fuck is happening, you guys?
It's crazy. I will say, to conclude this, there is something that I wanted to share.
I found the crystal part. Go ahead.
Oh, did you? It's something that I feel like if you're going to take this at least a little bit seriously as to like if it actually existed or not, this is one thing that I feel personally, in my personal opinion, is more than likely where Atlantis probably existed. And I'm going to try to do it really fast, okay? So buckle up, buttercups. It's about to get crazy, all right? It was already crazy, but now it's just going to get crazy and fast. So in southern Spain, in Doñana National Park, it's now a marsh, okay? Archaeologists have found remnants of what they think is Atlantis. Doñana is right next to the Pillars of Hercules, where, if you remember earlier on, that's where Plato said that Atlantis was located, okay? They took underground scans, little sonars, and it indicated that there were breaks in the conductivity of the soil, and it is believed that the breaks indicate a location of underground stone walls. They go further, okay? They do core samples, 50 meters below the surface, to be exact, and it shows that there is organic matter that dates back to 5000 BC that also so happens to be circular. Okay, 5000 BC. I get what you're saying, but there's a reason for that, all right? They believe that an earthquake caused a tsunami that pushed in a catastrophic amount of dirt and mud into where Atlantis was located. Okay. And the reason why this is such a big place for, it's one archaeologist in particular, and I wish I knew his name. I wish I had taken it down. But he also found a significant amount of methane under Doñana National Park. And usually a high amount of methane indicates that there's a tremendous amount of bodies somewhere, because bodies produce methane. Yeah. So because the Doñana marshes are a national park and a wildlife reserve, they're not allowed to dig. Okay. But because of this, they actually dived in the ocean, in the Mediterranean Sea, in the area off the coast of the Doñana National Park, and they found large stone walls, which is a very heavy indication that a civilization was near the coast at one point. So if you're going to take that seriously, if you're going to take this research seriously, I highly encourage you to look further into that, because the Doñana National Park and how it seems to be pointing towards Atlantis, it makes a lot of sense, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
It meets all the check marks, you know? Mm-hmm. Circular, underneath the ground, a national disaster, the Pillars of Hercules, like it's all hidden, you know?
Yeah. So let me throw this little wrench in your story here. I'm just kidding. But so basically there's this thing they called the Great Crystal that they used for energy sources, right? And you're going to have to go do more research into that. But a small piece of it is Casey mentions that the big crystal could have received energy from the stars from various sources in space. There's another part where it talked about it received energy from the sun. And then it says, we know the Bermuda Triangle stories. Many ships and low-flying planes have disappeared forever without any explanation in the Bermuda Triangle. And then it talks about some of the issues that this stuff has. Like, its equipment going out and blah, blah, blah. So, could a powerful crystal from the time of Atlantis be causing these disturbances? What if there's a crystal hidden below the water that captures the sun's rays and transmit energy the moment another vehicle passes over it?
Seems interesting.
Yeah.
So all of this considered, right? Including Burgundy's very seemingly outlandish theories, okay? But here's the thing, though, about
not my theories.
About
it came from that YouTube video.
Yeah, about these things, okay? Is that one important discovery in history that I feel like is significant. Okay, so many people feel like they've made up their minds as to whether or not Atlantis was real. But let me leave you with this, okay? For centuries, we read in history books about Helen of Troy, the Trojan horse, right? The city of Troy. And it was similar to Atlantis, believed it didn't exist for a very long time. And there were lots of historians who debated about whether or not Troy was real, whether it was all a fantasy. And coincidentally, in 1871, Troy was found. And now we have all this archaeological evidence of the ancient city of Troy. So, can that be the same instance with Atlantis?
I mean, why not?
You never know. We have people out here looking. The matter is finding where it is. Like I said, we didn't get into all of the places, but people believe it's in the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, Africa, South America, even.
Possibly close to Europe.
Yeah, like there are so many different possibilities. That's why it's so hard, I think. Troy seemed to be a pretty good target spot, and it just needed the right people at the right time to go and find it. But I think that's what's hard about Atlantis. But we have a lot of people who, with their full hearts and their full, like, they have dedicated their lives and their time and their resources to going to these specific locations and finding things. So I think personally that if it's real, only time will tell how long, like, it will be until they find it. It will probably be in our lifetime because there are so many people who are so dedicated to finding it. Just as that man was who found Troy in 1871. So with that being considered, take our theories, do your own research, as we always say. And yeah.
Another interesting thing that you guys could research if you so choose, there are several people who have recollection from being reincarnate, basically, of being Atlanteans at some point. So I found that in my research as well. So just go look into their stories if you're curious. If not, whatever. My biggest takeaway from all of this was how, like I said, this all tied into everything else we've talked about in this series of our podcast. And I found that very strange.
It's very interesting.
How every non-Project Fear episode we have can correlate to this one topic. It's all super weird.
It all, and like I feel like as we go further too, like things are gonna, our next topic of discussion, which actually next weekend we will not have an episode.
The weekend after that will be a Project Fear episode, by the way.
Yeah, so in a couple weeks from now, we're going to get into more of the closer instances of history rather than ancient history. So we're going to be getting into some different stuff, but I still feel like it can all, like, it all connects, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like everything in our history connects in some way or another. There's a reason for it all. So
also, I just want to say, sorry, I was putting chapstick on. That was for the people not watching the video. Thank you for listening to my rambling, because I felt like I learned so much so quickly, and we didn't have enough time to talk about it, so it's fine. But I was just like, this is insane, dude. This is the craziest.
It's crazy.
We found.
It's crazy, but a good crazy. And so, now, like, I, as well as our listeners, can take it and do their own research about this stuff that I've never even heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and the whole point of our podcast is to talk about crazy things that may or may not be true. So
exactly.
It's the fun part. So with that, if you like this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening to Fear Babes Podcast. Also follow us on all social media platforms at Fear Babes.
Hell yeah, dude. Check out our merch. Check out our Patreon. All links are linked below wherever you are listening. And love you guys. You amaze me every day. And we're always grateful.
Baby, I'm amazed by you.
Perfect ending.
Mwah.